Announcements done. Papers have been laid. Question.
Yes, Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice of the following private notice question addressed to the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Gender Equality and Family Welfare, whether in regard to residential care institutions and shelters for minors, she will state the A, number thereof currently registered with her ministry, indicating the number operated by government and their current occupancy rate. B, total number of police complaints and serious reports lodged against all such facilities since December 2024 to date. And C, number of meetings held by the Interministerial Committee set up to review the situation at Shelter Cap de l'Espoir, indicating whether the committee has submitted its recommendations. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Gender.
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank the Honourable Leader of the Opposition for his question that would allow me to shed light on the situation at the residential care institutions, RCIs, and apprise the House on actions taken in relation thereat. Madam Speaker, this government remains firmly committed to ensuring that all RCIs for minors operate in a manner that safeguards the dignity, welfare, protection, and best interests of every child placed thereat. Residential care institutions, as defined in the Children's Act 2020, means a non-family-based group setting, such as a place of safety for emergency care, a transit center in emergency situations, and any other short-term and long-term residential care facility which provide care. The Residential Care Institutions for Children Regulations 2022 under Section 71 of the Children's Act 2020 provides for A, registration and licensing requirements, B, standards relating to accommodation, care, supervision and welfare of children, C, staffing and operational obligations, D, safeguarding and protection measures, E, record-keeping requirements, and F, inspection, monitoring, and enforcement mechanisms. Madam Speaker, RCIs constitute permanent alternative care placements for children committed to a place of safety following a determination of the court. The objective of RCIs is to provide children who cannot remain in parental care with a safe, stable, and protective environment. Residential care is not merely accommodation. It encompasses protection, rehabilitation, supervision, emotional support, education, and preparation for reintegration into society. Children placed in residential care often present complex emotional and development needs, requiring specialized care, trained caregivers, and coordinated interventions. The purpose of residential care is to ensure that children who are victims of abuse, neglect, abandonment, or severe family difficulties are protected from further harm while receiving appropriate care and support. Madam Speaker, Section 5B of RCIs for Children Regulations 2022 stipulates that state-owned residential care institutions for children shall be exempted from registration under these regulations. My ministry carries out regular inspections, monitoring exercises, and follow-up actions to ensure compliance with prescribed standards. Where shortcomings are identified, appropriate corrective measures are initiated in accordance with the law and established procedures. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, I am informed that, as at date, 7 residential care institutions are duly registered under the Residential Care Institutions for Children Regulations 2022. In addition, 1 is managed by the National Children's Council, the NCC, which operates under the aegis of my ministry. With regard to occupancy, the current occupancy rate across the only government-operated residential care facility for boys, Residential Care Institution Cap Espoir, stands at 80%, 24 out of a maximum capacity of 30. Madam Speaker, the occupancy levels and the composition of the child population in RCIs are not static. Children enter and leave residential care in accordance with court orders, case management decisions, and the availability of family-based or community-based alternatives. Periodic review of placement in all RCIs is undertaken on a weekly basis. With regard to Part B of the question, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that since December 2024 to date, a total of 34 police complaints have been lodged in relation to RCIs for minors registered with my ministry. I wish to draw the attention of the House that each report is subject to due process, whether through administrative inquiry, police investigation, or regulatory review. My ministry cooperates fully and without reservation with all relevant authorities. However, the volume of reports emanating from Cap Espoir in particular reflects a pattern of institutional difficulty that started long before I took office. The previous government regrettably has not been able to redress the situation. With regard to Part C of the question, I wish to inform the House that on 1st June 2025, my ministry was informed that 3 minors absconded from the RCI Cap Espoir. They were found and brought back to the RCI institution. They appeared disoriented and had reddish eyes. They were conveyed by the staff of the RCI to SSR National Hospital, where after examination, they were admitted. A rapid drug test was conducted, revealing positive results for cannabis in 2 children, while the 3rd child was tested negative. In view of the seriousness of the matter, I instituted an internal inquiry. Consequently, in order to prevent interference with evidence and intimidating the minors, 6 caregivers who were on duty at the material date and time and who are directly responsible for the care of these minors were suspended on 9th January 2026. Government took note of the situation at Shelter Cap Espoir, Cap Malheureux, which was reopened on 5th December 2025, with new amenities and programs designed to strengthen a child-centered approach. A shelter manager was appointed on 5th December 2026, and he resigned on the 20th January 2026. Following a request from the Chief Government Whip, a delegation of members of the National Assembly visited the residential care institution at Cap Espoir on the 29th December 2025. Thereafter, Cap Espoir encountered repeated difficulties, disrupting disrupting its operation. Several incidents have been reported. The prevailing situation has resulted in persistent caregiver shortage, which compromises supervision and safety. Officers of my ministry, including psychologists, have conducted counseling sessions to address behavioral issues, trauma, and substance abuse, and a 24/7 police presence was provided. In light of the above, it was decided that an interministerial committee comprising representatives of relevant ministries would be set up to review the whole situation, including proposed amendments to the Children's Act of 2020. Given the complexity of the issue identified and the emerging challenges being encountered by multiple stakeholders engaged in the assessment, procedures involved rehabilitation, reintegration, and reinsertion of children with serious behavioral concerns, CSBC, an interministerial committee has been set up, co-chaired by the Attorney General and myself. The Minister of Education and Human Resources was later roped in, and the Ombudsperson for Children was co-opted. The objective of the committee was to come up with concrete solutions in addressing the existing gaps concerning children with serious behavioral concern and those in conflict with the law. The committee also comprised the Chief Government Whip, the Honourable Ms. Stéphanie Anctil, the Honourable Dr. Babita Tanou, Member of the National Assembly, representatives of the Office of the DPP, the Probation Office, the police, as well as officers of my ministry and that of the Prime Minister's Office. As at date, 4 meetings have been held. A first meeting was held on 4th February 2026, at which the stakeholders present were requested to submit proposals aimed at addressing loopholes in the current legislative framework, policies, and infrastructural arrangements. On 10th March 2026, a second meeting was held to take stock of the proposals received. Given the complexity of the issues, the committee considered it more appropriate to establish 2 distinct subcommittees, one dealing with matters involving CSBC, and the second one regarding children in conflict with the law, in order to undertake an in-depth analysis of the submissions made by all stakeholders concerned. A third meeting of the main committee was held on the 29th April 2026, to which the Honourable Minister of Education and Human Resource, as well as the Ombudsperson for Children were invited. During that meeting, it was agreed that there was an urgent need for an infrastructural facility specifically designed to cater for CSBC, separate from children who are in conflict with the law. Thus, consideration would be given to the requisite rehabilitation youth center infrastructure and trained staff being dedicated to an institution which would centralize service delivery for CSBC. Madam Speaker, a 4th meeting of the committee was held on 21st May 2026, and it was proposed that an interim report be drafted and government be apprised of the work conducted by the committee. Madam Speaker, since I took office in November 2024, I initiated the creation of a structured and inclusive governance model for Cap l'Espoir. A steering committee has been established which meets on a monthly basis comprising officers of my ministry, 2 representatives among the caregivers and children, as well as staff of the National Children's Council. This goes beyond cosmetic change and builds a platform for accountability, collaborative solution finding, and the identification of problems of a more challenging nature that may arise. I can reassure the House that this structure has resulted in several positive changes, most notably the lines of communication between the management and the staff have been significantly improved. Certain operational processes have been reviewed and enhanced. My ministry conducted a dedicated training program in collaboration with an NGO in November 2025 for the upskilling of care staff. I must express my honest opinion. The children who are the focus of our attention deserve much more than the disgracefully low level of interest and enthusiasm demonstrated by some staff members during the training. Some staff members' attitude towards such training in this highly important field is extremely worrying. My ministry communicates regularly with the General Workers' Federation, the GWF, which represents some of the caregivers employed at the RCI. We meet often and share information with the Federation. The stance of the National Children's Council is to protect caregivers' jobs and work in close collaboration with them. Madam Speaker, there has been a deliberate pattern in this RCI. It has been observed that some caregivers have developed a clan-like behavior, which leads to manipulation of children, resulting in uncontrollable disruptive behavior. This type of behavior is irreconcilable with childcare standards and the profession's ethics and goes against the overall objective of childcare. I wish to highlight that most of this residential care institution staff have political affiliation, which seriously compromise the smooth running of the institution. Madam Speaker, following the resignation of Mr. S.B., shelter manager of Cap l'Espoir, on 20th January 26, urgent measures were required to ensure continuity of the operations of the RCI. All Assistant Child Program Officers, ACPU, were formally asked whether they would accept to act in the interim, and only Mrs. S.M., together with 2 Assistant Child Program Officers, Mrs. N.B. and Mrs. M.M., our support officers, accepted to assume responsibility. The board of the NCC approved these interim appointments on 12 January 2026. On 20th April 2026, Mrs. S.M. stepped down due to health reasons, and the 2 support officers also subsequently stepped down. The board of the NCC approved the assignment of Mrs. B.S. as acting shelter manager and the support officers on the 23rd of April this year. In the light of the persistent management challenges, my ministry has, on several occasions, launched expressions of interest, inviting NGOs to take over the management of Cap l'Espoir. I regret to inform this House that none of these exercises have been responsive. My ministry has thus launched another expression of interest on 12 May 2026 with closing date on 12 June 2026. I thank you.
Yes, the first question.
Yes, Madam Speaker. I understand the situation is quite important. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister has taken more than 20 minutes
Yes.
in a reply. I
I
hope
noted.
you'll give me enough time to put my supplementary
course.
questions. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister inform the House whether the Interministerial Committee has identified any proposed amendments to be brought to the Children's Act, and if yes, can she inform the House of the proposed amendments?
Madam Speaker, as I explained in the answer, there is the committee which has been set up. There is a report which is being prepared. The report will be submitted to the Cabinet, and then we can give instructions to the State Law Office to whatever amendments need to be provided to existing legislation.
Yes, your second question.
I hope the Deputy Prime Minister is aware of the urgency of the situation,
Yes,
Madam
I
Speaker.
can't hear you
Can the
very
Honourable... I said, I hope the Deputy
Yeah,
Prime
that's it.
Minister is aware of the urgency of the situation, Madam Speaker. Can the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister inform the House where matters stand concerning the transfer of the Rehabilitation Youth Centre from the purview of the Prime Minister's office to her ministry?
Madam Speaker, this is still being discussed. As I said, this will form part of the decisions, of the recommendations made by the Interministerial Committee, which will be submitted to Cabinet shortly.
Yes. Third question.
Can the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister assure the House that every minor currently accommodated in government shelters is subject first to regular risk assessment and independent monitoring and an individualized care plan to guarantee their physical safety, psychological well-being and protection from harm? Can you confirm
Yes,
that?
they are.
Let me come to the next question
Next
then,
question.
which is related to Shelter Cap l'Espoir. Can the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister confirm whether any reports have been received regarding minors at the Shelter Cap l'Espoir having been tattooed while in care, and if so, will she inform the House what protocols are in place and what measures have been taken to investigate same?
Madam Speaker, I am informed that on the 10th May 2026, at approximately 16 hours, a caregiver reported by text message that certain residents appeared to have tattoos on their hands. Immediate follow-up was undertaken at Shelter Cap Malheureux. Upon arrival, caregivers confirmed observation of a tattoo on a minor. Questioning of residents in the elder boys section revealed 5 minors with tattoos. Additional information indicated that some minors had also tattooed themselves, while one had refused to be tattooed. Residents stated that the tattoos were made voluntarily and confirmed use of a shared needle. Actions taken. Caregivers accompanied the 5 residents to SSRN Hospital for immediate medical assessment. Rapid tests were conducted. All results were negative. On 11th May 2026, some minors underwent rapid testing at Goodlands Mediclinic. Results were negative. These minors had initially resisted testing. On the same day, 4 residents underwent blood withdrawal at SSR and hospital and were referred to Candus Hospital for further testing. The current status is as follows. All residents concerned are reported to be in good health. No illness has been detected to date. Police inquiry is ongoing.
Yes.
Yes. This is a very serious matter. Can the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister confirm whether her ministry has established protocols governing medical examinations, including blood tests for minors in such situations?
I have already answered that question, Madam Speaker.
Yes?
Je pourrais demander à l'honorable vice-premier ministre combien d'enfants fréquentent actuellement l'école? Parce que selon certaines informations recueillies, il y a pas mal d'enfants qui ne sont pas scolarisés.
Selon mes informations, Madame la Présidente, tous les enfants sont scolarisés.
And the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister confirmed to the House, if police officers maintain a permanent presence within the shelter, and may I ask her whether she finds that normal?
Madam Speaker, this is a very good question because we have discovered that security, which are at the gate, they are not very effective. So we have to have resort to police officers to guard the gate. We have this morning addressed a correspondence to the security company to remove to change to the present security guards and replace him.
Yes? I'm not keeping count, but go ahead.
Yeah, can the Deputy Prime Minister then confirm that the permanent presence of police officers inside a children's shelter reflects a serious institutional failure?
Madam Speaker, we have to look at the security of the safety of the children. We have, as I have just explained, the company which ensures safety of the children have proved ineffective. We have written to them, but meanwhile, for the safety of the children, we have to have recourse to police officers.
Your next question.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Following reports of food safety concerns at the shelter, including spoiled food items served to minors in early May, can the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister confirm whether a formal inquiry was conducted and what are the measures which have been implemented to improve the situation?
Madam Speaker, I think that last week, in the PQ put by Honourable Ancil with regard to mold bread which was served to children, an inquiry has been conducted. It avers that the cook stated that she did not find out that the food was not appropriate, and because there was not enough light in the kitchen. The officers went there and found that this was not true. The cook was immediately removed and was replaced by another one. I must say that the Ministry of Health, the officers of the Ministry of Health come regularly at the shelter to check the health protocol.
Yes?
May I put that question to the Deputy Prime Minister, whether she can confirm to the House whether the personnel responsible for food preparation all the relevant certifications and have received training on food hygiene standards?
I must check that information, Madam Speaker.
All right, good. Yes, Honourable Leader?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Can the Deputy Prime Minister inform the House which categories of officials or authorized visitors are permitted to interact directly with minors in those shelters, and whether there are requirements with regard to vetting and training?
Madam Speaker, whenever someone wants to visit the shelter, and a formal letter has to be sent to the ministry, and the letter is examined by the PS, and the authorization to visit the shelter is given or not given.
Yes?
Yes, Madam Speaker. Can the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister then confirm whether any senior political appointee or advisor his ministry has engaged in direct interaction with minors at shelter Cap l'Espoir?
Yes, Minister?
Madam Speaker, any officer authorized by the ministry, by the PS, can interact with the child, with the children in the shelter.
Can you, please, I'm sorry, can you answer the question?
Just answer.
All right?
Positive, Madam Speaker. Then, can the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister outline the professional qualifications, the child protection training or relevant expertise that authorize such engagement, and whether these interactions were recorded or logged in accordance with the shelter's safeguarding policy?
Yes, Deputy Prime Minister?
I need notice of the question.
Okay. Chief Whip is asking for a question.
Please, of course.
Go ahead.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. L'adjointe au Premier ministre pourrait-elle indiquer à la Chambre quelles mesures correctives et immédiates ont été prises afin de démanteler les clans au sein du personnel du shelter Cap l'Espoir auquel elle a fait référence la semaine dernière dans cette Chambre sur ma question. Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente.
Madame la Présidente, une enquête est actuellement initiée par le ministère et les actions appropriées vont être prises.
D'accord. You got one more?
Wanted, please. Let me come to my next question, Madam Speaker. In
I'm
December
giving you more time.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. In December 2025, the Deputy Prime Minister indicated to the House that solutions would be found to stabilize the shelter. We are now in May, and the situation has gone from bad to worse, Madam Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, confirm to the House when sustainable reforms will be implemented for that shelter?
Madam Speaker, I do not agree at all that the situation has come from bad to worse. We are doing all that we can to ensure that things go smoothly in the shelter. And I am satisfied that things are getting better, in spite of the fact that there are clans. As I said, there is an inquiry which has been initiated by the ministry on these caregivers who are manipulating the children, and measures will be taken, actions will be taken as appropriate.
May I put my last question, Madam
Yes.
Speaker? Since the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister stated that the children were consuming drugs in that shelter, and maybe I ask it differently, is she aware that they are also consuming synthetic drugs in that shelter?
Madam Speaker, each and every time there is suspicion that there is a child who is consuming drugs or whatever illicit products, immediately the child is taken to hospital for appropriate tests. I can assure the House for this.
Yes, Ms. Antil.
Je vous remercie.
Honorable Antil.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. Dans sa réponse, l'adjointe au Premier ministre a indiqué tout à l'heure que la NCC gère le shelter Cap l'Espoir. Pourrait-elle indiquer à la Chambre si elle est satisfaite de la performance et du leadership de l'officier en charge de la NCC? Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente.
Yes, Deputy
Madame
Prime
la Présidente, je ne peux pas donner une opinion. C'est une question d'opinion.
Okay, time is up. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Motion.
Yes, Honourable Prime Minister.
That all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 12, Standing Order 10.
Yes, the question is, it has to be seconded. Seconded, motion, yes, thank you. The question is that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2, Standing Order 10. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
Statement by Ministers none. Public bill, second reading.
Yes, Honourable third member for Grand-B Poudre d'Or.
Voyez-vous, Madame la Présidente,
Attendez, quietly, please. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Italia, please.
voyez-vous, Madame la Présidente, nous sommes devenus indépendants en 1968.
Voilà, parlez un petit peu plus fort.
Vous aimez que je recommence?
Non, non, allez-y. Mais faites un effort.
Et depuis, vous-même, vous avez été témoin d'un certain nombre d'amendements de notre Constitution. Je vous donne 3. En 1982, lorsque le gouvernement MMM-PSM